The Canon EFS 55 to 250 millimeter IS STM lens should be garbage. I mean, quite honestly, it's less than $200. It's made out of plastic, and it's generally just bundled with Canon DSLRs, like my 80D here. But surprisingly, really surprisingly, it is a great lens. It's one of my favorite lenses I've ever used, and it just is continually astounding to me that it produces such great images. Images that I will show you now, and when we come back, I'll tell you a little bit more about this lens down the trail there. So, first, let's talk about build quality. Obviously, this lens's weakest point, I think. It's mostly plastic. I mean, almost entirely plastic. Except for, of course, lens elements, which are very, very high quality glass. I mean, that's the important thing about this. It may all be plastic lens mount even, which that is a shame, because that won't last too long, I don't think. But the important thing is the glass inside, which is very high quality indeed. It's like they cut down in every way except for the actual functioning parts of the lens, which it's kind of ideal if you think about it. You take the best parts of a high quality lens and you basically just strip away the aesthetics of it. And this is what you get, a high quality yet affordably priced telephoto lens. And we'll go over here and we'll talk a little bit about the autofocus and image stabilization. The image stabilization is very good, especially for such a reasonably priced lens. The autofocus, though, is amazing. It's on my 80D. It is lightning fast and utterly silent. It's hard to describe how silent it really is, because I often don't even notice when it's focusing until it makes a little beep that registers that it is in focus. It's that quiet, and that comes in real handy when you're trying to photograph subjects that might be skittish of the noise. I mean, that goes for animals, but especially for people, because that autofocus noise often puts people off. So like if you turn off the noises in your camera and just focus straight with this, it's like it's like you're not even shooting with the camera, and you can really put your subject at ease. So yeah, that's nice. I never really appreciated autofocus before I got this lens and this camera, because before it was so slow and clunky. I got to the point where I felt that I preferred manual focus, and I still do in some ways. I still love autofocus. I mean, manual focus only lenses. But this is nice. This is really nice. The autofocus is just great, and that's thumbs up for that, Canon. So, aside from the plastic build of this lens, what other downsides are there to it? Well, it's not perfect optically, of course. At the long end you will see some vignetting, but that's fairly easily corrected, and it's not actually that bad. Distortion wise, I actually have been fairly lucky here in this area. I think this lens handles distortion fairly well, which is actually far more important to me than vignetting, since, as I said, that's fairly easily fixed. Chromatic aberration, I haven't noticed too much of that, and color fringing, it's surprisingly handled very well. So yeah, it's not optically perfect, but it's not optically flawed either. Of course, one downside to any inexpensive lens such as this, almost all of the lenses at this price range have a variable f-stop, and it's not that big of a deal to me, but it can be a problem. And f4 to 5.6, it's not very bright, so it's getting kind of dark now. I might have to finish this review tomorrow because without good light, this lens really does kind of struggle. And that would probably one of be the biggest downsides of all, compared to a more expensive lens with a constant aperture of say f2.8 or even 4. But not a deal breaker as far as I'm concerned. Well, it's getting late. I really have to be going. Pictures to take, things to do, you know. So be sure to hit that like button, that subscribe button, that little notification button too if you have the time. And I'll hopefully see you again in my next video. So long, farewell, and thanks for all the fish. Bye.